Good evening, everybody, and welcome to League of Europe Division 5. Once again, we're back after 2 weeks away, and we're back for the last 5 races of the season. It's round 13 tonight at the Shanghai International Circuit in China. And as always, I am joined by the eternal delight and the pleasurable company of Mr. QVR Packer. How are you, my friend?
I don't really know how to describe how this evening is going, but all I know is that I'm really looking just forward to Imola, I think, tomorrow evening, and of course, obviously, to Division 5, after 2 weeks away, as you mentioned, for round number 13 to get these final 5 rounds, I believe, down to the end of the championship, and it looks like championship has really swung hands in these last few races.
It is, our championship leader, Excel Major, on a run of 4 successive podiums, including back-to-back victories at Australia, Belgium and Zandvoort. He's pursued by NL Energetics, who wasn't with us for 2 of the last 3 rounds. Slumpcon, or Connor O'Keefe as he is now, is in 3rd place on 102 points. He's some 66 points back. Harry F is in 4th, Marcy in 5th, Ghost Recon is in 6th, H. Maguire is in 7th, Swip is in 8th. Interesting to note about Swip is he's the only man, I don't know if you're aware of this, Packer, who's scored points every round this season. He's just snuck in on 3 occasions with 3 12th place finishes. He's only taken 1 podium at Zandvoort, but he has finished in the points every single round, which is more than we said for our championship leaders. Then it's Cyril Gill in 9th, he's not racing tonight, nor is Ben Scott in 10th place. And MCFC in 11th, he's also not racing, and Jav in 12th. We've got a nice little battle, actually, for 12th place. Jav, Alex Lilliard, Abood, Speed Josh, Jamie Met, and They Hate Melty, who has since left, and Jess Gamer. That is 7 drivers split by 4 points, which is insanely close. But let's turn our attention to today's qualifying, and Packer, as is tradition, our 2 Alpines are the first out on track.
Yeah, of course, Harry F wasn't here the last time we went racing. At Zandvoort, or at Russia, excuse me, out in the Sirtibo Autodrome, sorry. But yeah, the 2 Alpines, the duo back at it once again for this week. So we'll see how they get on. Ben Scott already validating on his outlap. Then there's the Aston Martin of Swip, as you mentioned, scored points in every race this round, doing his best Carventalist impression, if we will. Taking a decently quick outlap are the 2 Alpines, I'd say. Ben Scott more than Harry F. And then there's a Ferrari out there, a TTG about. He's out on the mediums, interestingly enough, as well as Jav and Baba O'Reilly out there on track.
Well, we've seen that a lot from Jav this season, going out on the medium tyre in qualifying. It seems to be his tyre of choice. But let's go on board with Ben Scott, as is customary, for our first lap of the event, although I think he may have just snuck invalid there because he's cut the last corner. No, he's just about held it together. So here we go then for the first qualifying lap of the season. Wind the car into turn 1, crank the load on. The car washes out wide for him. You've got to try and really be gentle with the throttle and the brake, both of your inputs. Really manage the car through there. Let the car roll through turns 3 and 4, never ending. Seems an age until you can get on the traction. Ignore the kink of 5. Ease the car to the left-hand side with the downhill braking zone of 6. That's Major getting out of the way in a very awkward spot there. 6, tricky corner. You can pick a lot up on the exit if you time your inputs well, and then wind the car into 7 and 8. These cars, 7, 8, 9, 10, should all just flow into each other. Ben Scott having to take a couple of bites, a couple of stabs into his steering, and well, that did not go too well for him because he speared that car into the wall in a very odd way. You don't usually see drivers lose it on the exit of turn 8. It's normally the double left-hander on the exit of turn 10 where you see cars make their errors, but not the best start for Ben Scott, who usually, Packer, seems to be very good in qualifying, very assured of himself, usually up there in the top 5 or 6 every single round, but not on this occasion.
Yeah, well, every race he's finished so far this season has been within the top 10, his lowest finish being 11th at France. But besides that, he's been in and around the top 8, top 5 kind of area, has Ben Scott. But obviously, he's going to have to start from near the back here in China. It's pretty easy track, I would say, to overtake, especially with the field spread that I imagine we'd be seeing as a 32.8 for Harry F. I'd imagine some people would be improving on that. Excel Major just starting his hot lap, but it looks like he's doing a second outlap because I think he just invalidated as Swip crosses the line. I'd imagine he had invalidated. He actually backed off as Swift after, I'm guessing, an invalidation occurred for him. Abood on the mediums, 33.3, only 5 tenths off of Harry F. So it does look like TTG Abood, or however you want to say it, looks pretty quick again here in China.
Yep, not a bad opening effort for the medium tyres. I think we'll see pole position sneak down towards the mid-high 130. We've got a spinner. That is one of, in fact, it's our only Red Bull. I think that was Energetics getting a bit leery on the throttle through turn 2. I don't think he was letting a bow through. Only one Ferrari and one Red Bull in today's proceedings. We've got Jess Games also set up with 134.3. So we've got one driver in the 32s, one in the 33s, and one in the 34s. We've got Jav coming towards the end of his lap on the medium tyre. He's kept it valid, but can he do that through the last corner? Very easy to run a little bit wide there and pick up that dreaded red track map, but he slots in nicely just ahead of Jess Gamer behind Abood with a 34.2. We've got a yellow flag, that's just Abood getting out of the way of Energetics there, although Energetics is not obliging in heading through. And then we've now got a driver joining the 131 club. It's H. Maguire 6, as so often recently this season, the second half of the season, has been the standout qualifying performer, and he's immediately found himself over a second advantage here in the first runs in qualifying.
Yeah, we've seen this quite a bit from H. Maguire. Swip sneaks down to a 132.3 on his second lap on those tires. So half a second in front of Harry F. There's Ibo will go past him at turn 1. I think Excel Major just crossed the line to finally start his first lap on those medium tires after having to back off after invalidating, just starting his previous lap. I think Jess Games just heading to the pit lane. I'm just looking for anyone really on a lap here. I think Ibo may be the only one. There's a few drivers on outlaps. Jamie, Connor O'Keefe, and NL Energetics, who's just starting as well. But yeah, H. Maguire, we've seen it so many times this season. He's been rapid in qualifying. He's been quick in the races usually as well, but just a few mistakes creep in, and that's how he loses all those points and positions that he should really have to his name.
Yeah, then those mistakes do tend to be extremely costly ones. He's thrown quite a few points away, and they're of his own making. They're unforced errors that have come to associate with H. Maguire 6 this season, formerly Archon Corrupt, of course. And speaking of the AlphaTauris, they've become a bit of a qualifying specialist team. I don't think it's unfair to say. Wouldn't be unexpected to see them lock out the front row. We've got Major coming through finally to complete his first valid lap of the evening, if he can keep it safely in bounds at the last corner, which is a proper danger zone here. Easy to run wide, easy to cut as well if you get a little bit too greedy, trying to avoid that yellow bumpy curb on the inside corner that you'll spot right there. Easy to go one side of it or the other and pick up an invalidation, but it's a 33.5 for Major on the medium tyre. Not the fastest time we've seen on the medium. Abood did go a couple of tenths quicker, but then again, it was Major's second lap on the tyre. So, I think, Packer, that concludes our opening run, because we've got Ibo on a 37.6. He's just across the line, although we've got Connor O'Keefe going extremely slowly. Energetics, also on the medium, is invalid. Oh, this feels more mediums than usual for our typical D5 lobby. Do you think there's rain coming partway through the race, or is everyone just fancying the mediums today?
Well, no one has said in the chat that there's going to be rain, so I'm not entirely sure, as Energetics just starting his lap, heading through the first sector at the Shanghai International Circuit, winding his way through 3 and now through 4 on the exit here. Third gear, you want to be short shifting up a 4th, 5th, as he gets to the top of that rev range through this first sector and through turn 5, 24.7. That's not all that awful on the mediums, of course, for energetics. A little bit of a lockup as they head into turn 6 there. Now just going to head through this long left-hander of turn 7 and through the long right-hander of turn 8, where we saw Ben Scott put it into the wall down to 4th gear to get the rotation, and now into turns 9 and 10. Braking a little bit early. Almost got onto that inside curb, all over the exit curbs, just using all the curbs you really can, I guess. Typically you would want to avoid those. He heads through the middle sector split, 53.006 for the former championship leader as we head through turns 12 and 13 as you wind down the power, and now down to this long back straight, one of the longest in Formula One, with DRS now just being activated about around halfway down the straight. And now we're going to be heading into turn 14. Right hand hairpin down to 2nd gear, a little bit lock up, a little bit deep for the Red Bull driver. He short shifts to 3rd through turn 15 and into the final corner. This left hander, turn 16 down to 4th gear to get the rotation and all over the inside curb, and he goes around. So yeah, that final corner can be quite deadly.
We've got a boot. Boot spun. Sorry, a boot's dropped it at turn 8. I said it was an odd place for a car to lose it when Ben Scott did it, but we've seen a second.
Yeah, I was going to say the final corner can be quite tricky, especially in the race. You might see drivers either in the outside or the inside wall. It depends on how the car decides to spin it itself. But yeah, energetics just falling by the wayside through that final corner, I guess.
I want to make a note of Maxwell Major. He completed another lap on his mediums. They're now 4 laps old. He's still going on his medium tyres. I wonder if he's just banking on one run on the softs. Let's see if we've got anyone else on laps. Harry F has just starting, I believe. So let's go on board with the Alpine. He's currently in P3, flying the flag solo for Alpine in this session, after his teammate binned it early doors. Nicely holds his line through turn 3, which feeds into 4, and then just ride that kink, clip the curb, nicely done. Use the outside of the track to make the corner as wide as possible, as shallow as possible. Nicely picks his apex, late apex, pick the throttle up nice and early. Well done there from Harry F. You can go flat through here. He has to take a little confidence lift mid-corner and then down a couple of gears. He should be dipping it into 4th there, maybe. Is he into 3rd here? He is, but he's some way wide of the apex. And if you mess up the first part, turn 9, turn 10, he's always going to slip away from you. And now through the middle sector, he's a couple of tenths up on his PB, but that's not going to bring him anywhere near H. Maguire so far. He picks a nice line through 11, 12, around the never-ending 13. He's got a car in his way, but that's Conor O'Keefe. He stays safely to the outside of the track. And now the just over a kilometre dash down towards the characteristically Hermann Tilke hairpin here, turn 14. Turn 15 is the right-hand kink there that you can perfectly ignore. Just bleeds into 14, and then bring the car to the outside, flick it into 16. If you're feeling brave, you can run your wheels either side of that dangerous yellow curb, but Harry F goes all the way around the outside. He improves, but not too much in the position stakes, because he's still P3 on a 32.4. And that lap from Swip, not necessarily the strongest qualifier this season, but he's looking mightily impressive.
Yeah, obviously, very consistent as we touched on earlier on the session. Swip on a lap right now, 10th and a half up through the middle sector split, so finding a little bit more time. Here is Swip on his 2nd run in qualifying, 5 minutes and 45 seconds. He's getting a little bit of a stream from Jaff here, possibly. We've seen this before from the Aston Martins. They like to give each other slipstream they've been giving each other slipstream throughout the season, as Swip braking into turn 14. Just hits that apex very nicely indeed, accelerating out in 2nd gear. Let's see what it's going to be for the Aston Martin man, and if he can keep it valid through this final corner. Ooh, a little whack of the curb on the inside and getting a little bit of grass on his tires on the entry as well, but it's 31.9, and he finds quite a bit of time on his previous lap time, and finds himself only 0.2 of a second behind H. Maguire. So H. Maguire getting possibly a little bit sweaty. He's still in the pit lane. He hasn't gone up for a 2nd run yet.
Well, Swip joining the 31 club, and I think you're right. I think Harry Maguire will be feeling a little, well, H. Maguire will be feeling a little, as you say, more clammy palmed than what he was feeling. His advantage not looking quite so comfortable. He was up to this point doing a 2009 Seb Vettel at China, just going out for the 1 lap. but I'm sure he'll be out for a second, keeping a set of soft tyres. He can afford to keep a set of soft tyres in store for the race. Jav takes such a wide line through turn 7 there. I think he's the only man on a lap right now. Although we've got Marcy out there on mediums as well on his third. Both Jav and Marcy out on their third lap on the mediums. I'm not sure what they hope to gain from just pounding around on mediums. And we see this from Jav so often. I think Jav's got it well within him to compete for podiums and points, but his qualifying strategies honestly confound me. There's nothing he gains. He's going to get some slipstream here, but he gains nothing from just pounding around on mediums. It's especially when you're on doing 3-4 laps on the tyre, and then we see him in the race, of course, last couple of weeks picking up penalty after penalty after penalty. I think at Russia he was nearly hitting triple figures in penalties, but we'll see where this lap ends up with a dosage of slipstream from his teammate. And I think he caught the yellow curve a little bit there. Cross the line, improves by thick end of a quarter of a second, but stays in 9th place. He has nothing really to show for the extra lap, and I don't think he's going to get back round in time to put some softs on and go back out again. So, yeah, I don't know how you feel, Packer, but I'm very perplexed by Jav's strategy here.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, because I always see Jeff complaining about getting damage on lap 1, and I just think to myself, well, if you didn't do 200 laps on the mediums in qualifying, you could have been a little bit higher up the grid. But anyways, I guess we could move on from that. Jav doing a 34.0. He's still in the top 10, so as of right now, he has to start on those mediums. He did say in the Division 5 chat, I believe, that he wanted to start on the hards, so not exactly going his way as of right now. Just looking for people on a lap. XL Major is just heading through the first sector. I think Energetics is on a lap as well. He's heading into turn 1. So I guess we could ride on board with XL Major. Up 2.5 tenths in that first sector on his medium lap time. Of course, this would put him up into P5 as of right now. Still needs a little bit more time to challenge the likes of Swip, Harry F, and possibly H. McGuire. But as we head through turn 7, that left-hander in 7th gear, now into turn 8, down to 4th gear to get the rotation. Now into turn 9, down to 3rd gear, not short shifting through the exit as we head through 10, and now up to 4th, 5th, 6th, and up to 7th, downshifting most likely to 3rd gear, 2nd, just a little bit deep for the AlphaTauri driver. I'm not exactly sure what his middle sector split was, but it does seem to be purple for the time being. I think Energetics has made a mistake. He must have spun, or is just slowing down to back off. Cool his tires a little bit, save a little bit of ERS, but XL Major opening up DRS, 43% ERS to his name as of right now. Let's see what it's going to be through the final 3 corners of this lap, 2 quarters if you will, into the hairpin. Has to take a second stab of turn in just as it got to the apex, up to 5th gear, 6th gear as we head into the final corner. 7th now dips down to 4th gear, not carrying the speed that he would have wanted, but with the DRS open, it's going to be a 32.3, and that puts him up into 3rd place, just in front of Harry F.
That surprises me. I thought Major would be quicker than that, but he's 6 tenths slower than his teammate, so well, at least he's not in any danger of showing why he wasn't shuttled up to D4, because his 1 lap pace, while it's consistently quick, isn't the quickest. And there goes Jav retiring from the session, so content to start on those 4 lap old medium tyres. Let's have a look where we've got some laps. We've got Jamie crossing the line, 32.5, but it's invalid. We've got Connor coming across the line now, nicely hooks up the last corner, short dash, 32.2, and goes ahead of Major into P3. We've got Harry F is 3 tenths up on his time. That's putting him close to joining the 1:31 club. Jess is just starting her final lap. Ibo is coming into the pit lane. Energetics is now going for its 2nd lap on the tyres, though he's quarter of a second up on himself through sector 1. But let's go back on board with Harry F coming through turn 14. Now spots his apex really nicely there. Gets the car slowed down, rotated in, picks up nice speed on exit, just the last corner to go, and he hits his apex beautifully. Energetics is retired at turn 8, he's dropped it again. Harry F does join the 31 club, he pops in a 1:31.8. Is anybody else improved? We've got Abood starting a lap, Baba O'Reilly's on a lap. I don't think anyone else is. Well, I'll tell you who is improving, it's our provisional pole sitter, H. Maguire. He's a 10th up through the first sector, just coming through turn 8 now, and then the double left-hander of 9 and 10. You want to treat this as one long hairpin, and he almost clips that inside yellow bumpy curve there. Does well to avoid it through the middle sector. Another quarter of a second in hand for H. Maguire. He looks like this pole position is his for the taking. If he was getting clammy and sweaty, not anymore. He lets the car roll through the turn 13, and oh dear, Packer, I've talked that one up. He's binned it at turn 13 there, but I don't think, for his sake, luckily, no one else seems to be improving. Abood is just over a tenth up, but it's nowhere near enough to threaten H. Maguire.
Yeah, Jeff's just heading through the final corner as of right now. Doesn't improve on her final lap time. I think Connor O'Keefe just heading through the final sector, but he is backed off. I think Excel Major... I want to say Excel Major was going in, but he's actually retired on the exit of turn 9. Swip is Swip at a lap right now? He is. He's just heading through the final corner. That's Connor O'Keefe in the wall. Abood has crashed.
Harry F. was on the right-hand side of the track, staying well off the racing line at about 100 miles an hour, not very fast at all down the straight. Abood thought he could steal some slipstream, naively and perhaps dumbly, and didn't pull out from behind the Alpine in time, and ploughed straight into the rear of that Alpine, who was completely unsuspecting. I don't think Harry F. adjusted his speed at all. Abood just completely misjudged how fast the Alpine was going. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of qualifying. H. Maguire 6 is your pole sitter with a 31.7. Could have been more, but could have been quicker rather, but he binned his final lap. Harry F. in second, Swip in third, Connor O'Keefe fourth, championship leader XL Major is in fifth. Babbo O'Reilly, I think that's his best qualifying of the season, in sixth place. Jamie Mett is seventh, Abood in eighth. He was improving until that calamitous collision. Reminded me a bit of Stroll and Vettel at Malaysia 2017, if that rings any bells.
Oh, yes.
But I want to make a brief point here about the second man in the championship, Energetics. I'll just finish going through the order. We've got Jess Gamer in 10th, Jav in 11th, so he ends up getting a fresh tyre choice anyway, after his prolonged stint on mediums. Ibbo in 12th, Energetics 13th after a couple of spins, Ben Scott in 14th, Marcy in 15th. What I was going to say, Pack, I don't know if you feel this way, but Energetics, often if he's not feeling a track, seems to have a very defeatist attitude going into the races. And I wonder if that's just something of a self-fulfilling prophecy. He doesn't expect to do well, and he ends up making himself suffer as a result. He plays into the trap of thinking he's going to do badly, so he does do badly, even though I'm sure he's got it within him to do well. If this was the start of the season, I'm sure we'd see Energetics in 4th or 5th place, but he just seems to be in a bit of a rut right now with how well Major's doing.
Yeah, especially with, 3 DNSs in the last 6 races? Not participating in half of the last 3 races, or half of the last 6 races, obviously isn't going to help as well. That championship gap it's skyrocketing really for XL Major. The last 4 races, 3 wins and a 3rd place in Russia. Yeah, it's really not going Energetics' way. Energetics started off the season almost like XL Major has been in these last 4 races. 2 wins at fastest lap and a 3rd place, 4th place in Austria, and then a 3rd place in Monaco. And ever since, well, I guess really Bahrain, it hasn't really gone well. 1 point in Australia, 2nd place in the Netherlands after he spun on the penultimate lap or final lap out of the final corner. Even then, a 2nd place, even for him, still, it should have been a win. That could have given him back his momentum, but just making that one costly mistake, something that we've seen from a lot of drivers, and what we're seeing from a lot of drivers are the hard tires. Jav, Ibbo, Energetics, Ben Scott on the hards, Marcy, who did not set a time in qualifying, on the mediums.
That surprises me. And I've always been opposed to the idea of starting on the hards, because, you know, typically, especially on this game, the hards can usually do the full race distance. Therefore, if you've got nothing to lose and you get damage on lap 1, you can always switch to the hards and just go to the end and go long and hope something will happen and that will bring you back into play. If you're on the hards, you can only go to a softer tyre, so you're locked into a 2-stop if you get early damage. So I always find it bizarre, particularly when you're in the middle of the pack, as those guys are at the back of the pack, where it's very claustrophobic. why would you pick hards and risk damage? Because if you do get damage, your race is a complete write-off, as it's looking very hazy out there, as we can barely see H. Maguire as he comes on to the back straight. But I always found hards a poor choice outside the top, and I always thought medium softs would make more sense than hards at any track, really.
Yeah, it's interesting because the alternate strategy here, I do believe, is, well, it's not medium soft because the mediums will drop off at the end of your stint. The softs will not be good, especially once you get past 4 or 5 laps on them. So, and I guess you could start on the mediums and do the hards, or do medium hard, but then you're just really kind of losing out on track position anyways to the people who are going to be doing either the soft hard or the soft medium. So the alternate strategy really only is, I guess, the hard medium, because you want that tire advantage at the end of the race, because you can, as you said, you can go forever on these hards really, and you could even, and that's Ben Scott into the wall on his hard tires, weaving vigorously. But yeah, it's interesting. This track, strategy-wise, is somewhat like France. You could do every single one-step strategy that comes to mind.
Yeah, they're all viable, and overheating is an issue as well. Once we get to lap 3, we'll start to see who's struggling with overheating on those soft tyres. But we've got 28 laps ahead of us, and we've got H. Maguire and Harry F on the front row with Swip, Connor, Major tucked in just behind. Our championship chaser, Energetics, is down in 13th. It's going to be a cracking race, I'm sure. We've got 5 lights on ahead of our drivers, and we're underway. And it looked like Harry F had a slightly better start there. Ben Scott pulling wide to get past Ibo, who was crawling off the line. Harry F's got the inside line into turn 1, nearly a collision there. H. Maguire gave him just enough room, but he's forced wide, has to take the high line through 1 and 2. They'll be side by side as they drop down the hill. H. Maguire has the inside line for 3, and Swip nearly tries to sneak through there. Through turn 3 and 4, we've got a yellow flag in the background. Jav's fallen to the back of the field, and as you predicted, Packer, getting damage on lap 1 after that medium qualifying. Let's have a look at the early position changes. Quite a lot going on in the background. Energetics is up 3, Marcy's up 4, and Swip having a look at Maguire there through the middle of turn 7, and then leaves himself open to attack from Harry F into turn 8. Not at all what you want to be doing, as we'll get our track map and our intervals up now as we're safely through the first few corners. It's been quite clean at the front of the field, but we've got Marcy and Riccia side by side there, and Ben Scott also off very wide in the background. But it seems, for the most part, it's been a fairly clean first lap, Javs notwithstanding. Oh, H. Maguire.
Yeah, H. Maguire's out.
Once
out
again.
Of turn 13.
Once again, I don't mean to laugh. Once again, H. Maguire from the lead of the race. And look at Connor O'Keefe there up the inside of Harry F into turn 14. Harry F generously leaves some room. He might have a quicker line on the exit there, able to straighten the car nice and early. That switches to the inside line for turn 16. He'll be a little bit compromised on exit. I think Connor can't get around him towards turn 1. Harry F has seen that attack off. XL Major's now going to have a look at the Haas into turn 1. But once again, as is so often the case, H. Maguire just cannot seem to keep the car on the track while leading. And again, and like the first Australia start, like Belgium, and I think we saw last week as well, H. Maguire just not able to lead the race and stay there.
Yeah, really, as we mentioned so many times already this season, in this stream as well, just mistakes creep in for the AlphaTauri driver, and really, it is kind of unfortunate because most of these races that he spun out of the lead or spun out of a podium position, he's had the pace to go and win this race, and he could be well within this championship fight, but just unable to do so. Jav make his way past Ibo for P12. It doesn't seem like Jav has damage, maybe just a spin through those first few corners on lap 1. Ben's got his pit for the medium tires. That's an interesting choice. I think he did start on the hards, so kind of forced onto those mediums, as you were talking about a little bit earlier on.
Riccia spun.
Jess and Riccia has has spun, possibly doing battle with Jess, but I guess we'll never really know. But as Jav has made a mistake because Ibo has closed in significantly on the Aston Martin. Marcy and Energetics going side by side. The Mercedes is going to be going down the inside on the medium tires. A little bit of a lockup for both drivers, but Energetics unable to keep that around the outside of turn 14. We have a battle between Jamie and Abood going into the final corner. Abood able to sneak his way up to the inside or to defend from Jamie either which way. Swip, though, has gained the lead of this race. He made his way past Harry F at the beginning, and then with H. Maguire's mistake, he was able to make himself... He's inherited the lead of this race, and Ben Scott spinning on those medium tires, not having a good time is he tonight. Crashing qualifying, damage and a spin already in this race as well. It's really not going his way. He's really going to need a safety car if he wants to bring himself back into this one.
Turn 13, collecting victims corner by lap by lap here, like the Grim Reaper. It was a cracking pair of battles we saw the last lap between Abu, Jamie Met, and then Marcy and Energetics. And I think when you saw Jav and Ibo battling away, I think that was one of Jav's characteristically scripted battles. He's done those with Jess the last couple of weeks. I'm not a fan. As Baba O'Reilly goes very wide at turn 9 there. Jamie also had a mistake. I think Marcy nearly ran into the back of him. So just, I think a few drivers here still finding their feet. We've got DRS in effect, and we are going to... Oh, Ibo's had to come across at turn 7. We are going to see it put to good use now. Here comes Connor O'Keefe, very close to the back of Harry F. 0.3 of a second is the gap. The DRS pops open. Harry F. does sneak into the DRS range of Swip, but it's too little, too late. He wasn't able to get ahead by the detection point, and he missed out on the DRS. And Connor O'Keefe says, thank you very much. Nips round the outside of turn 14. Nice overtake there. Let's look further back in these battles between Abood. Jamie Met Ben Scott has retired at turn 7. Is that going to be a safety car? XL Major's banking on it because he's driven straight into the pits, but it's not going to be. And could that be costly for XL Major if he can't get to the end of the race from here? No moves in that battle between Baba O'Reilly, Abood, Jamie Met, but Baba O'Reilly is keeping a lot of drivers' company, is acting as a bit of a bottleneck here, and he's letting the front three scamper away. 2.8 seconds now already between Harry F and Baba O'Reilly. Baba O'Reilly's going really well in 4th place, and let's have a quick look at Major. He's put on the hard tyres, so we're hoping he can get to the end of the race from there. He should be able to, but we shall see. Abood having a look around the outside of Baba O'Reilly there to turn 7, forcing the Williams driver defensively, then gets out of shape through the second part of the course. This is what I was saying in qualifying. You get out of shape in turn 7, it's going to impact you all the way through turns 8, 9 and 10, and they are queuing up to pass the Williams here.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there off of turn 10 for Baba O'Reilly. Very difficult traction zone 9 and 10 as he's deep into turn 11 with a little bit of a lockup on that front left soft compound tire. A boot on these mediums is really working well for him, aren't they? And now he's going to have the DRS down towards turn 14, just has to wait a little bit. He's using his ERS. Baba O'Reilly decided not really to fight this. I think he's just going to kind of let him go. There's no real need for him to fight this. Differing strategies, those mediums are going to be working a lot better than the soft tires as of right now. Marcy, as we typically are characteristically seeing him with a very little ERS already in this race, down to 25%, and we're only on lap 4 of this Grand Prix. Looking up the front, Swip, Connor O'Keefe, Harry F are all in this battle for the lead. Connor O'Keefe with that overtake has brought Harry F with him just a little bit, attaching him to the DRS of the Aston Martin out in front. Jamie making his pit stop now off of the soft tires. Just move up into P8 in Abood with that cleaner, looking to pull away from Baba O'Reilly. And I'd imagine in these next few laps, all the soft runners would be in, as Ricky following in Jamie, and Jamie onto the mediums. Is that a 2-stop for the McLaren?
I think that very much is a commitment to the 2-stop. You'd have to be running very high tyre pressures to get to the end of the race from here on the medium tyres, and you have to do some management as well, particularly through these high load turn 7 and 8. So I think that is a commitment to the 2-stop from Rikia. He's going to come out just behind Ibo there, down in last place currently, P13. One more retirement, and everyone gets a point as long as they get 90% of the way through the race. Marcy has a moment at turn 9, and that just lets Baba O'Reilly get away enough so that I don't think Marcy's going to be able to make a move down the back straight. But I'll tell you who will be making a move. Look at Connor O'Keefe on the back of Swip. He's nearly going to get this move done for the lead of the race before he even gets to the DRS zone. Swip's so slow off turn 13, and they are wheel to wheel down this straight as the letterbox pops open on the back of Connor, and is Harry F going to have a look as well? I think he's too far back on this occasion. Swip goes a little bit deep, just offers a crumb to Harry F there of a chance to have a look, but nothing doing on this occasion. Anyone coming in? All three of our leaders are coming in. Is Abu going to follow them? No, he's on the medium tire. He's going to keep going around. Baba O'Reilly stays out as well. Marty stays out, so I think everyone else carrying on those contra strategies. Let's see, though, where the tyres are going. It's going to be hards for Swip, mediums for Harry F, and mediums for Connor. Yeah, I think mediums for Connor as well. So I think, is that a one stop for Swip? Two stop for Connor and Harry F. If this was D1, D2, I'd be thinking soft medium is a one stop there, but it seems too aggressive to do a soft medium one stop on lap 6 for what we know the strategies D5 like to engage in. But what do you think, Pack? Is that a two stop or a one stop from Connor and from Harry F? I'll tell you what, Mage has come right in this as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, that undercut, that 1 or 2 lap undercut from Excel Major on those hard tires. The hard tires seem to be working quite well for Excel Major. Major couldn't quite get his keep his tires in check the last time we went racing at the Surrey Autodrome, if we remember correctly. Just struggling a little bit, obviously on the podium last time out, but let's see what he could do. Jumping from what was, I believe, a net fourth or fifth on track to a net second here overall, and and we still have a few other people to make their pit stops as well. So Connor O'Keefe just onto the back of Jav. We've seen this many times for Slump throughout the season. Been relatively quick in qualifying, up at the front usually, and then once again here in China, he's up at the front. His race pace seems to be pretty good. Let's just see if he can keep the mistakes out of his race.
We're going to see an overtake here, I think. Marcy had just passed Barbara O'Reilly, and here comes Connor O'Keefe. He looked right, and then he looked left on Jav. Jav's going to actually make this quite difficult for Connor O'Keefe. I think having to go all the way around the outside is the Haas, and then Jav locks up, goes a touch deep. Is that going to bring XL Major into play? Not on this occasion, and Connor pulls off the switchback there. He's safely through, but he's got Jav all over the back of him. Those hards should be in good nick for Jav. So he might not fall completely away from these guys, and he gets a good run with the DRS towards turn 1. Then has to back out it very early and nearly force Major, I think, to take evasive action, going very high through turns 1 and 2 is the AlphaTauri. Nothing doing for him on this occasion, looking for any kind of overtake. Swip was leading this race. He's now down to a net third, and they need to clear Jav pronto because Connor O'Keefe's already getting away, and Swip having a look there at Major. I'm sure Jav will do everything to keep Major behind, and then will jump out of his teammate's way immediately as soon as Major passes him. We'll see on this lap, because I think we're going to see an overtake. Swip goes very wide at turn 7 and 8, and Harry F is going to nip in there through towards turn 8. They bump wheels. Harry F was lucky not to be spun around, and he's going to try hang it around the outside of turns 9 and 10. Swip just sweeps his way through, but then nearly collects himself on the exit of turn 10. They're going to be side by side nearly towards turn 12. No, Swip safely ahead into the braking zone, but that was nearly an airplane crashes ahead. Major is going to get past Jav before they even get to the straight here, around through turn 13.
Yeah, Excel Major getting a very good run on Jav. Now they're going to close up side by side the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri. Jav using all of his ERS. Excel Major doesn't even need to use his battery as they head down towards turn 14. Jav just going to have to slide him behind for the time being. Now he will have his teammate behind. Just a comment, Connor O'Keefe's switchback last lap was absolutely beautiful as the clouds begin to part and Excel Major running a little bit wide. Connor O'Keefe fastest lap of the race. I don't really think that the Excel Major and Swip will have to worry about the Haas in front, because it seems that he's at a two-stop strategy, and Jav, unable to get the move, looks for a little bit of a move, but he's on the inside curb at turn 1. His teammate just avoids him, so that's going to be Swip and Harry F through. Harry F looking up the inside of Swip into turn 2, but Swip running some interesting lines here on lap number 8, a little bit wide through 2, all over the inside curb at turn 3, and he's going to keep P7 for the time being. But it seems that Excel Major, with that overtake, has broken DRS with a few mistakes from Swip.
I don't want to be harsh on stream, but I think that was pure idiocy from Jav. You could see the way he approached the first corner. He was looking to spook Major wide and try and force an overtake, and he ended up overtaking himself with the rear end spinning and past the front of his car. So swapped ends on him, and I think he got probably what he was due for what looked like a cynical attempt at an overtake towards turn 1. We've got Harry F, though, in close proximity to Swip now through turns 11, 12, and now into 13. Swip just at this phase of the race on these hard tyres, doesn't look like he's enjoying himself too much, does he? And we've got Energetics now up the inside of Baba O'Reilly to turn 14. The hards coming towards Energetics now. Baba O'Reilly's gone so long on these soft tyres. Surely he's going to come into the pits this time, and he does indeed. But Energetics through into third place, runs wide at the last corner as well. But just to note, look at Conor O'Keeffe. He's and Aboud's round. Aboud's off at turn 1. I've no idea what he did there.
It's got to be the turn 1 curb once again. The same thing for Jav, I'd imagine. Just to be that wide off the track. Gravel on his tires as well. I'd imagine that's the inside curb, just a slight error in judgment. I've seen people do it before. I've done it myself even. And yeah, that turn 1 curb can be quite deadly if you are unprepared for it. So that's going to put Marcy up into the lead of this race. Also Energetics up into second place on those hard tires on the third of many alternate strategies or something close to that. But that puts Conor O'Keeffe 5.5 seconds off the next medium runner who has yet to pit in this race. So it does seem that Conor O'Keeffe looking in a pretty strong position right now. He would want to close up to the back of Aboud. Energetics. Marcy.
Energetics.
Flag. That's Energetics round. You did say that he was struggling on those hard tires, and he's just kind of letting his car drift. He's reversing, just getting out of the way, making sure, and now he's going to be on his way once again. You can see the dread in just the way he's controlling the car. He's letting everyone go. Stopping on track.
This is what I mean when I talk about the energetic self-fulfilling prophecy. He fully gave up there. He was ghosted. He could have just carried on, but he just stopped and seemed to give up and accept. Oh yeah, I've lost this race, which is not the kind of attitude I'd like to see. I don't know if I'm being again too cynical there as I was with Jav. Here comes Harry F up the inside of XL Major. He reeled him back in well after the swip overtake, and now he's back up into 4th place. Major tried the switchback, wasn't on for him. But he'll certainly try and get his revenge in towards turn 1 because he's got the DRS open himself now. And he's got his choice if he wants to go left or right. He's going to pick the right-hand side. He's going to have the inside line for turn 1. And I think he's just going to chuck the car in there and he's going to take 4th place. But then the car washes very deep across the track. Harry F just sneaks back through, says, "Thank you very much, sir." And Major's now got a task to stay within a second of that car or stay close enough that he's got a chance to make a move back into turn 14. He can't make too many mistakes, because Swip is in very close company as well, and I think Major had a look there into turn 6, but nothing doing with him on this occasion. He'll just sit back, bide his time, and try and follow that Alpine through turns 7 and 8. Although, a lot of these corners are tripping a lot of drivers up today. You have to say we've seen so many mistakes from so many drivers across qualifying and the race.
Yeah, XL Major just on that inside curb once again, as you mentioned, washing out the car, or washed the car out wide, and just being on the inside curb. You don't want to put too much force into turning or braking or accelerating on that curb because, as we've seen with Aboud, with Jav, they'll just spin you around if you're not careful. But now XL Major heading through turn 13, that gap
very wide.
Him and Harry F opening up to 0.8 of a second. He's gonna have the DRS. He's using all of his DRS. He's below 10% now. Is the Alpha Tower driver. Harry F on a solid enough 30%. He's 3.8 seconds behind Conor O'Keeffe. He's 4 seconds behind Aboud. He's got a second and a half to the Ferrari driver in front of him. Obviously, 6-7 laps of fresher tires is aiding him in his pursuit of the Ferrari up in front. XL Major a little bit wide through that final corner. Swip catching a little bit, but still not really too much for the Aston Martin driver. Obviously, previous leader of this race, not exactly loving the hard tires, I don't think, here.
Not at all. I've seen a few little scrappy errors from Major today, but I mean, he's got to bear in mind that probably Harry F will pit again. He won't have to. Baba O'Reilly passes Jav into turn 1 there, and Jav nearly runs back of him into turn 2. Will he switch it back for turn 3, or will he try and cut underneath? I think Jav's going to try and get a straighter exit here, get a run towards through turns 5 and 6. But those hard tyres just not giving him the purchase against fresh medium Baba O'Reilly, although he is pulling up a little bit of slipstream there. Baba O'Reilly locks up, has to take a tighter line, but I think his tyres are just too good for Jav, and he is safely through to P8. Running a tremendous race today is Baba O'Reilly so far, although he did stay out very long on those soft tyres, but presumably is going for a soft medium given how long he stayed out. Let's have a look now. Major has dropped out of DRS range of Harry F altogether. And now, is this going to come back towards Swip? Swip's got a much better exit, I think. Run through turns 12 and 13. He's got a little more ERS to play with as well. Oh no, he hasn't, but he's got less DRS to play with. He's already derating down to 3%, but his DRS is coming in very handy here. He pulls out the slipstream, tries to spot his braking point. Not interested in making a move this lap, and he eases off before hitting the braking zone. But as you say, Packer, Major not very happy at all.
Yeah, you can see just in hitting that inside curb. He's done it so many laps here in China. He ran wide on the previous lap. Excel Major weaving all over the circuit, trying to find a place to defend, kind of defending clean air here because we saw Swift completely back off into turn 14, but now he's looking up the inside of turn 1. Excel Major with a slight mistake after being compromised on that racing line, defending clean air around the outside of turn 3, and now turn 4 for Swift getting pushed all the way to the curb. Excel Major will go to the racing line. Now they're going to be side by side up towards turn 5. Swift's going to have the inside line for 5. Excel Major going to switch it back into turn 6, but he's not going to be quite close enough. Swift, however, gives the position back to Major, breaking a little bit wide, got spooked by the Alpha Tower, the possibility of the Alpha Tower going up his inside, and now they've lost a second to Harry F up in front, and that's going to be their chance of getting DRS off the Alpine gone anytime soon. And I would just like to say, Excel Major was doing quite alright for being on 2-lap older hard tires compared to the 5-lap old mediums of Harry F. But even then, he still doesn't look too comfortable.
Not at all. This battle is now, 6 and nearly 7 seconds behind Conor O'Keefe, who is the net leader. He's very much just chilling by himself currently in P3. And let's have a look at now Swift. He's going to tuck into that slipstream, pop open his DRS, and we'll see how good a run he's got. He's 4 tenths behind Major as they come towards the braking zone. I don't think Swift's gaining enough to have a look, and again he lifts off before the braking zone. He's going to wait for turn 1, I think. He's definitely got the better tyres right now, though. He's definitely got more confidence right now. Marcy comes into the pits from P2. And Major gets a penalty on the last corner. Well, we could see that from a mile away, the amount of mistakes he was making. But he's now got to try and avoid a second for the rest of this race. We've got a yellow flag lights Ibo round at turn 10. Swift caught unawares there by Major's braking turning point into turn 1. Has to go very high through the first corner. And then he'll try and take a wide line, swing back through 3 and 4, open up an angle for turn 5, but he just can't get the traction down. And Major survives another day, but they're now 2.4 behind Harry F, who himself is 4.5 behind Connor. Swift goes very deep there for the second lap in a row into turn 6. Let's go Jav watch. He's 4 tenths per second behind Babra O'Reilly to turn 6. Babra O'Reilly is having a good race, but he's obviously overshooting a little bit with his qualifying performance, and he's now got Jav still trying to fight him back after their earlier tussle.
I would just like to say that Marcy has pitted onto a set of mediums after already being on a set of mediums. So that's a definite 2-stop for Marcy. We've suspected about the strategy for some of these drivers that they could possibly be on 2 stops. Conor O'Keefe and Harry F both pitting from softs to mediums around lap 6. Excel Major pitting from softs to hards. The same for Swift. And is it going to be another battle? Swift using his ERS, the little amount that he has left, he's going to break into turn 14. Excel Major just going to turn in. Swift was nowhere near being side by side with the Alpha Tower. And Abood is now going to be into this race, or into the pit lane in this race. And that means Conor O'Keefe will take P1 out on track. No longer net P1, he's P1 out on track. And it's going to be the hards for T2G about, and that's what I thought Marcy was going to do for the 1-stop. But Marcy putting himself on the 2-stop strategy. Another interesting decision from the Mercedes driver.
I'm very disappointed in Marcy. I remember Packer all the way back to pre-season at Austin, but Marcy was flying the flag for the 1-stop strategy there. The only person who had the sense to do a 1-stop, and now he's the only person who's absolutely committed to a 2-stop. So Marcy no longer in my good book. Swift had a really good chance there to pass Major into turn 1, given how close he was in the braking zone of 14, and then he made an absolute mess of the last 2 corners and had to settle for 4th place still. But it has shaken out now. Everyone has pitted, I believe,
except for Jav
and in P8 and Energetics in P10. So their races, at least right now, are a write-off. But Jav has got a boot very close behind him. We'll see how hard Jav wants to fight this one, because Abood has only just come out of the pits, of course. And Abood absolutely is 1-stopping. So we're going to have a fair mix here. And if a penalty for Energetics there in P10. You can see look how slow Jav is off turn 12. Just struggling to keep the car pointing in the right direction. He gets a moment on traction. It's going to be textbook DRS overtake for Aboud. He's not going to have any issues. Jav red lighting, derating down the straight. He's going to try and defend this. He's going to cover the outside line, forces Aboud to take the tightest line possible through turn 14. But Aboud gets the car slowed down nicely, parks his car in the middle, doesn't give Jav too much of a cutback opportunity. And I think
Jav, you should be there.
Some messy racecraft from Jav today. That corner was lost. I'm not sure I felt the need to put his front wing where he did, but he's going to go fight this back into turn 1. He's going to go around the outside now. And, well, this is brave stuff from Jav. I respect it on 15 lap old hards against fresh tyres on no disrespect, probably a quicker driver over a single lap. But Jav trying to get his evening's entertainment worth, but he'll have to settle for 9th on that one. He'll have to take the L there, I'm afraid. And on Swip and Major Watch, look how closely Swip is following here through the middle sector.
Yeah, I didn't know this was 2022, I seems. Usually the dirty air through the middle sector here in China is quite potent, as Swip makes a mistake, just as we ride on board with him. Makes this mistake through turns 9 to 10. He'll be able to close it back, though, with DRS detection point just here through turn 12. Another mistake from Swip. Maybe those hard tires starting to slide from underneath that Aston Martin. Excel Major, 2-lap old tires still, though. 3-lap old, I believe, if that's how you want to count it. Depending on what the game says. But yeah, DRS now open for Swip JMB underscore 038. Not going to be, obviously not going to be close enough. Into turn 14 and nowhere near really for the Aston Martin driver. Let's check in with TTG Aboud. He's 6/10 behind Baba O'Reilly, really in the same situation that Swip was in with Excel Major, but obviously not those mistakes, just had a battle with Jav, as Jav is 4 seconds behind. Did Jav get damaged possibly? Or is he just struggling?
I was ready to say Jav has had a moment somewhere because, yeah, as you say, 4 seconds off. He's got a full complement of front wing that we can see. I think he's just backed off. I think Jav is just at the point where he's vibing in this race, frankly. Baba O'Reilly goes very deep trying to defend from about towards turn 2, and I think the Ferrari's going to squeeze up the inside there. He's going to straight line the way towards turn 3, but it switches to the inside line for Baba O'Reilly. He's going to run about the long way round. Can Aboud tuck in, or he's got enough of an exit on those fresher tyres towards turns 5 and 6. He's got the inside line. And Baba O'Reilly goes a little deeper on the brakes, but I think Aboud's got the overspeed he needs, although the wider line let Baba O'Reilly carry more apex speed around turn 6, and he just says thank you very much, and he drives clean past the Ferrari towards turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, probably not the greatest of things for Aboud's race there. For Aboud's race there. Maybe those medians for Baba O'Reilly still working quite well, it seems. Able to get the traction off the corners and to defend from the Ferrari that is eating him up right now, as Jav has gone around at turn 10. And I would imagine he would be into the pit lane very soon to get off of those tires created or causing being the cause of a yellow flag as of right now. Aboud with the DRS on Baba O'Reilly. Baba O'Reilly has been closing down Jamie Met for a lap fresher tires, does Baba O'Reilly, and now Aboud, who's going to be in just behind the McLaren now. 11 or 9 lap fresher tires. However, harder compound, and just as I say that,
huge moment for Aboud on traction out of turn 14. He looked like he had the move done, but he just got a huge tank slapper on, and Baba O'Reilly just snuck straight back through. But Aboud's going to have a second help in the DRS here towards turn 1. He's got the inside line, but Baba O'Reilly can carry more speed with the high line. And I think the Ferrari's going to hold that off, is he? They're jabbing at each other with these one ahead, then the other's ahead, and again it's a copycat of the last lap. Baba O'Reilly's got the inside line, but this time he can't carry quite the same speed.
Oh, Swip and Major now.
Aboud's through, and yes, side by side through turn 7, Major and Swip. Swip looked like he getting the move done towards 7 on the exit 6, but Major just about held head. But this is as close as they've been, and Major had his back end swung out on him towards turn 9 on the exit 8, where Ben Scott lost it in qualifying. He lives to fight another day, but these guys now 4.8 behind Harry F, more than 10 seconds off the lead now. And again, Swip goes deep into turn 9. It feels like every time Swip gets anywhere near a good chance of an overtake, he makes a little mistake that just puts him a couple of tenths off kilter, and it gives XL Major another lap to survive as we approaches those DRS zones. In the last corner, in 11 and 12 there, through 13, he's run a little bit wide as well, we've seen. It's just, Swip just needs to keep a level head as he gets towards this overtake. He's certainly got the quicker car. He's got 2-lap fresher tyres. He was quicker than Major in qualifying as well. He's got the clear advantage. Major's coming in for a second stop. I did not think Major... He came in very early, but I did not think Major would be making 2 stops here. He's come in again, and he's sped into the pit lane. And this is why NL_energetics, you don't just stop after you spin the car on track. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you carry on, and you get some good championship points.
Yeah, Excel Major making the decision to go to a set of mediums. Interesting strategy, soft to hard to medium, using all 3 dry compound tires. And now he's just gonna be just behind his championship rival in NL Energetics, who's on 17-lap-old hard tires with a penalty. Excel Major with that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But that opens up Swip now, because Excel Major, he would have been 12. He was 12-lap-old hards, I believe. It would have been 13 going on to the next lap. But now Connor O'Keefe, Harry F, Swip, all on 11-lap-old tires, as well as Jess Gamer. But there are Connor O'Keefe and Harry F. They're both on mediums. Swip and Jess are on hards. So maybe just a slight error in judgment here from Excel Major. I think he could have made it to the end with those hards.
Oh, I think he absolutely could have done. But he has said before, as soon as the tyre starts to slide, he goes. And I'm going to interrupt myself here because we're going to get an overtake here, figurative championship overtake. Between our 2 rivals. Energetic's so slow off 13. He's not pitted yet. Those hards have got nothing left in them. Here comes XL Major. He pulls out the inside line. He's going to get that done nicely. Swip, you said, is released a couple of laps ago. He is now edging towards Harry F. And as you mentioned with the situation, I'm unsure if Connor and Harry F. are going to pit or go to the end of this race. You'd think Major pitting would possibly, spook them into doing the same, but they probably know if they pit, Swip has got a clear run to the end of this race. That's Marcy passing Ibo, so the yellow flag just Ibo having a moment at turn 4 there. But yeah, Marcy presumably going to the end. Ibo definitely going to the end. Swip, I'm sure, must be going to the end. But Connor, and Harry F, I'm unsure yet whether these guys are confident they can get to the end of the rest. They should be able to. If this was D1 or D2, they would absolutely be going to the end on those mediums. But I don't know, Packer. Do you think they're going to make another stop, or do you think we're going to see this as our finishing order?
Well, Marcy for sure has to make another pit stop, because if we remember, he's on that
medium
strategy.
Oh, of course, he's on mediums.
Yeah, so he's going to have to pit, I would imagine, in the next 2, 3, 4, maybe laps. To go onto a set of soft tires, he's going to drop so far down the order. He's going to be, I would imagine, around Jamie P9-ish, in around Energetics and Jamie range.
And there we go, that answers our question.
Yeah, that answers your question. Connor O'Keefe into the pit lane. Harry F will continue on. I would imagine Swip would continue on as well. Would this bring Marcy into the pit lane? Nope, he's going to stay out for at least one more lap. But that's going to be Connor O'Keefe in, and he's going to be onto a set of soft tires. So it's a soft, medium, soft for the Haas driver. Let's see where he's going to come out. He's going to come out just around a boot. I would imagine this would put him between Baba O'Reilly and a boot, and yes, it does. The Haas driver slotting nicely in between those two guys. As Excel Major sets fastest lap of the race on his fresh medium tires. He still has to make his way past Baba O'Reilly if he wants to catch up to Connor O'Keefe. But those soft tires on Connor, they're going to be good for a solid 4 or 5 laps. But then they're going to start to drop off and overheat.
They are. I think they'll wear-wise. I think they'll be good for 5 or 6 laps. I think overheating-wise, they might be good for 3. That's usually when it starts to kick in, particularly through here, 10, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, they take such punishment without really respite through that sequence of corners. You can see how much he's catching about. He's taken 6/10 out of the Ferrari since he exited the pits, and is this going to convince Harry F to do the same at the end of the lap? I don't think Marcy will be in maybe another lap. He's only done 6 laps on his set of mediums, so he's still got plenty of life left in that tyre, but it's of course you want to maximise how much you can get out of any set of softs you put on at the end. Presumably he is going medium, soft, and Abu goes straight over to the right side of the track there to cover off the assaults of Connor O'Keefe. They are both going to the end. This is a battle for position, but Abu's got no ERS to defend with, and I think there's just so much more grip as they bump wheels there. I think bargeboard to bargeboard, side pod to side pod, and Energetics has lost it at turn 13. He's dropped it again. Harry F does stay out on track, so maybe, just maybe Packer, someone is going soft medium in Division 5, which I would not have expected, but we may well be seeing it. Although I'm going to talk too soon, we're going to come in for a set of softs at the end of this lap probably.
Yeah, we've seen that many times. We assume something, and then the very same lap, or the very next lap, the exact opposite happens. The energetics around again, and he's kind of just
and again
just parked the car, and now he's on his way once again on those hard tires. And yeah, I would imagine you kind of have to come in, jab into the pit lane. Energetics will keep on going for the time being. Let's see what Jav's going to be in for. I'd imagine softs. Yep, it is going to be softs for the Aston Martin driver, and he's going to be dropping down the order, or possibly out of the points. Well, it depends on how
Ibbo. Well, Ricciardo is in a points position, so I think only Ibbo can drop those guys out of the points, and Ibbo is 90 seconds off Ricciardo, so there's pretty much points guaranteed all round. I say that with no disrespect to Ibbo. We've got a yellow flag. That is Energetics. And must have made a mistake at turn 4. Why hasn't he pitted? I'm so confused. Energetics, even with one or two of his spins, could have still picked up P9 here, where he is currently, if he'd maximised his strategy. But the fact he set out for so long, how slow and how long it's taken him to recover from his spins, he's throwing away places that are completely avoidable because he's got feeling very, well, I don't want to say sorry for himself, but I think he is feeling sorry for himself today. Major passes Baba O'Reilly for P6. This is no holds barred with Killer Blue. I'm going to give my damning verdict on every driver. Energetics and Jav in my bad books today. Major recovers 6th place. It could have been more if he decided not to make a pit stop. He would have at least been ahead of the bound. Connor within 3 seconds of Marcy. Marcy having to pit anyway, of course. Harry F has stayed out for another lap, so just 6 laps to go after this one for the Alpine to survive.
Baba O'Reilly's in.
Baba O'Reilly is in. He went so long in that first set of softs. I thought he was nailing his colours to the mast for a soft medium, but here you go. We live to be surprised. And, well, it is a soft, medium, soft, and that is the, I think, most bizarre soft, medium, soft strategy I've seen with how long Baba O'Reilly went in that first stint. Conor O'Keefe now 2.2 behind Marcy, taking another chunk out of the Mercedes on this lap, whose tyres will be starting to suffer a little bit. Swip is catching Harry F. The gap was about 4.9 seconds after XL Major was cleared. It's now down to 3.4, and presumably the benefit that Swip will feel from his tyres is only going to get bigger as we get towards the end of this race, as those mediums go off more and more, and because the hards are going to wear a lot slower. So, Packer, where are you sitting on this side of the fence? Are you going to go for Harry F, or are you going to go for Swip for the lead of this race as Marcy comes into the pits?
Yeah, Marcy finally deciding to finally end off his strategy, medium, soft for the Mercedes driver, and Aboud will go up to P4, XL Major up into P5. Obviously, still with that 5-second time penalty. I think that was Ibbo just making a mistake as Jav will make his way past Jess. An interesting spot to get that overtake done down at turn 11. Is Jess going to have DRS?
I think this will be another one of Jav's scripted battles with Jess.
Yeah,
we've had
Jav...
one for the last 3 races, I think.
Yeah, Jess just getting DRS there. Jab using his ERS and flying off into the distance, we shall say, for the time being. But as of right now, I can't really tell between the top two. It looks like Harry F is going to the end. It certainly seems that way, considering he's still going on. And Swip isn't exactly catching Harry F. So, if anything, I think Harry F kind of has this in the bag, and I'm sure once I say that, Harry F will get a puncture in the next 2 laps, and Swip will win it.
Well, I want to have a look at the pace. Let's have a look at what Harry F's doing. Harry F has done 36.6s for the last 2 laps. Swip has done a 36.3 and a 36.3 for the last 2 laps. Energetics has retired. Is that on track?
Out of turn 4.
Out of turn 4, and we've not got a safety car. And Harry F bravely banking on that staying the case as he goes round again, because if a safety car had come out just on he could have missed the pit lane, but caught the safety car at pit exit. Conor O'Keefe gets a time penalty, so there's any hope of him catching Swip that is going to eradicate any chance he has of making this two-stop strategy work. I think at least in terms of the race victory, he's safely ahead of Abboud by 8.5 seconds. Speaking of whom, Major continuing to reel in 1.2 seconds, but Major then himself has that 5-second penalty, so the only really meaningful battle right now is between Harry F and Swip, and Swip has taken half a second out of Harry F in the first sector. It's down to 2.9 with 5 laps to go, including this one to come through the middle sector. I think this is really where Swip's tyres are going to come into their own, with Harry F's crying out with the long high load corners. It's down to 2.8, 2.7 possibly on the exit. No, stays at 2.8. Well, he's taking a lot out of this lap, but he's going to need to take half a second a lap. More than that is Swip to have a go into turn 14 on the last lap as a minimum.
Yeah, Swip's going to need to start catching. He should have tried to start catching as soon as possible. Obviously, that isn't exactly going to happen. Those hards are going to be starting to be a little bit better than those mediums. They're going to be starting to drop off the pace, as you can see just through the first sector. Possibly a mistake from Harry F, because the time isn't dropping too much, but obviously the final sector is really just a straight line and a few left and right bends. But let's see what it's going to be. Swip through the final corner.
Here comes Major on Abboud, and Abboud just jumped straight out of the way and slowed right down. That was an anticlimax. Abboud fully let the AlphaTauri through there. We've got Baba O'Reilly. He's going to pass on his brand new softs. He's going to pass Jamie Met towards turn 14, and I think this will be an equally straightforward overtake. Jamie Met covers the inside line, but he's got nothing to defend with. No tyres, no ERS, and there goes Baba O'Reilly up the outside. Although Jamie Met's going to fight that one back just a touch. He's going to... Oh, and nearly runs into the back of the Williams actually there as he swings back across to try and look the inside of turn 16, and then has a little weave on the exit, I think, in frustration. That was harder work for Baba O'Reilly than it needed to be, I think. But sorry, Paco, you were saying there.
Swip needs to start catching a little bit more. He's only, once again, he caught another half a second through the first sector, but hasn't really gained any through this middle sector. Possibly a tenth and a half, but it's still not enough. So I really do think Harry might just have this in the bag. But as I say that, he loses another 10 through turns 11 and 12, and he's starting to gain it back through 13. But Swip looks really good in that first sector. But as we come to the line for what is going to be the 26th time once they get through the final corner, only 3 laps to go after this one. It's going to be a difficult task for Swip to get up to the back of Harry F and make that overtake.
I think you're right. I think it'll be very difficult. I can't see a way for Swip now to get past Harry F. His pace in sector 2 and 3 just isn't there, or Harry F's tyres are just not dropping off at the rate they need to. We'll see how sector 1 progresses on this lap. No one is in DRS range apart from Riccier on the back of Jess Games here, coming through turns 7 and 8, and I think Riccier is on fresher tyres. Jess is on the one stop. Let's have a look how many people have done the one stop. Harry F, Swip, Abboud, Jav and Jess have all one stopped, although I think you could say and Energetics would have been the same, although I think you can say that Jav and Energetics strategies were perhaps suboptimal in the vernacular of the controversial Ron Dennis. Now let's have a look at Rick here. 6 tenths per second. He lost a little bit of time through the middle part of the lap. I think he's going to be too far back to have a go on this lap. He's got plenty of airs in store. Jess has got plenty of airs as well. She's using to defend. Rick here doesn't seem interested in having an attack though, so and that's a bit of a damp squib, that one. Let's have a look at the battle for the lead. 2.1 seconds. It has come down by another few tenths, but again, not enough. It's now up to, we're now in it. Oh, and now Harry F, actually, I say that, made a mistake through turns 11 and 12. The gap's down to 1.3. 1.2, he's so slow off turn 13. That's going to cost him time all the way down the straight. Gap is 1.2. Harry F using a little bit of airs to pull himself back up to 1.3. But that has given Swip a whiff, a sniff of a chance there on the last couple of laps here. And he gets out of shape again, I think out of turn 14. He's lost another tenth there. Make it 2 through turns 14. I think Harry F is starting to feel this pressure a little bit as we come towards the last 2 laps now.
I could just be imagining things, but did I just see Swip lift off into the hairpin? He lifted off a little bit, I think. Maybe possibly just saving a little bit, or attempting to save a little bit of fuel. Once again, I could just be imagining things, but I could have sworn I just saw that. But yeah, Harry F, these mistakes really not helping him. It's really, he's doing a SWIP here. He's making mistakes. He's bringing SWIP back into DRS range. Connor O'Keefe getting close to the back of these guys as well. Penultimate lap of this Chinese Grand Prix, round number 13 here of Season 7 for Division 5. As that, just looking at Division 2, there has been a massive incident in the final few laps as Jab picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Harry F, out of turn 10, he's well within DRS range here, heading into turn 11. The DRS detection point just on the apex of turn 12. Let's see, is going to be able to snatch it. That was close, but I think he was just within.
Just to say, I think you're right that SWIP is lifting off to save fuel. His fuel is on plus 0.07 as he comes down the straight. He is in danger of running out of fuel at the last couple of corners because it's coming down to 0.04 now. So Harry F is managing his tyres, SWIP is managing his fuel. He's having to lift off very early into the braking zone, which means he can't have those attacks that he needs to, or be as brave as he needs to take some time here. He's got 2 more DRS zones. This is going to be the first one. Bumps that inside yellow curb. That's going to cost him a couple of hundreds, which means everything as we come towards the last lap of the race. Now the gap is down to 7 tenths, 6 tenths per second, 5 tenths per second through turns 1 and 2. Harry F's tyres have absolutely had it. But then, to be fair, so is SWIP's fuel tank as we're on the last lap now. Let's have a look. SWIP has recovered himself to plus 0.1, so he might just be fine now with 2/3 of a lap to go. Gap's 4 tenths second towards turn 6. In the ERS stakes, it's 15% for SWIP, 16% for Harry F. They are identical. As we come out now through turn 7, through turn 8, SWIP is gaining hundreds per second, corner by corner. Harry F's tyres, he's been on those for 21 laps. They both have. They both pitted the same lap, but Harry F on the mediums, they have absolutely had it. He nearly gets out of shape through turn 9. He does get out of shape through turn 10. The tyres won't hang on for him. They're not gripping up on the exit. SWIP lifting and coasting into turn 11. They're both running heavily compromised setups right now with their cars. Connor O'Keefe is 8 tenths per second behind him, just in case there are tears into the hairpin. But here we go now for the final time. Harry F is red lighting, derating down the straight. Is he going to cover the left or the right hand side? He's not sure. He's weaving towards the braking zone. Is SWIP going to go for this? He's got to go for this, surely. No, he backs out. He lets Harry F pass the corner and then changes his mind at the last possible second. And another brain dead moment, I want to say, here from SWIP. That was bizarre. He backed out of the corner, then went for it at the last second. Harry F wins the race. Connor F's going to come home second. Nearly takes second on penalties. I think Major might have run out of fuel here because he's ghosted across the line. He's got a 10-second penalty at the last corner, which means Abood is going to jump into 4th place. Major had the 5-second penalty to serve as well. That means Marcy's going to take 5th place. Baba O'Reilly is going to come home in a fabulous 7th for him in the Williams, although his strategy was a little bit compromised. Jamie Met is in 8th. Jav's going to come a lowly and bizarre 9th. Riccia in 10th. Jess will be 11th and Ibo will complete the points. But yeah, my take on that attack, I'm not sure what yours was, but SWIP lifted into the braking zone, backed out,
and then tried to dive it.
And then sent it again. It was like a double phase corner. He backed out first, then sent it, and then he got his comeuppance when he was spun round and was very fortunate to keep second place, even with Connor's penalty there. Bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre is definitely one word for it there. Not entirely sure what SWIP was thinking going into that final hairpin, but still second place for him. Highest highest result of the season for the Aston Martin driver. Just looking here now towards Harry F results, I believe that's his first win of the season as well. So we have a new winner. We have a driver with the highest finish of his season, and then Connor O'Keefe picking up 3rd place on that compromise, or on whatever strategy he was running. I believe it was soft, medium, soft. We got so many different strategies on the podium. We got a soft hard, we had a soft medium, and then we had a soft medium soft just to round it out.
Yeah, it had a bit of everything that race. The only thing it was missing was some wet weather. Otherwise, I think everything we could have had, we would have had. Few drivers I wasn't particularly impressed with for various reasons, but it's just my opinion. Marcy gets driver of the day from the game. I'm disappointed in him because he didn't try the one-stop, and that's what I'd come to expect from Marcy. But Harry F does take his maiden win of the season and stakes his claim for P3 in the championship. We've now got 4 races to go. It was not an ideal race at all for our championship retainers XL Major, or even less so NL Energetics. But Major did what he needed to do in the end, and he's extended his championship lead again by another 8 points. So he now leads, I think, by 39 points, although he did have 18 seconds worth of penalties. He's got 10-second penalty on the last lap. Not sure why. Harry F wins from P2 on the grid. Fabulous race from him. Perfect strategy. The soft medium worked very well. Swip unlucky in the end. Led early on. Then looked like he'd fallen out of it, but recovered well to take P2 and then nearly win the race. But for a brain-dead moment into the last hairpin. Connor O'Keefe in 3rd. Bowed in 4th. Marcy 5th. Major 6th. Baba Riley 7th. Jamie Met in 8th. Jav 9th. Ricky 10th. Jess Games 11th. Ibo completes the points. Then our DNF is Energetics Ben Scott. H. Maguire, who started from pole and then dropped it at turn 13 very early on. Easy to forget as well, Packer, that Connor O'Keefe, had he done a one-stop, would have won that race by an absolute mile. As it is, we had a controversial moment to settle it into turn 14. I think Harry F can put his hands up and say he didn't do anything wrong there. But some interesting driving, shall we say, throughout. Where do you think that leaves us then with Division 5 for the season to come? It looks, doesn't it, for now, with 4 races to go, that it really is swinging the way of XL Major. Do you think NL Energetics can bring it back? I have to say, on the basis of today's performance, I don't think his head is really in it anymore, but I'm sure you can't write it off until the fat lady sings, as they say, can you?
Yeah, I think this race really kind of ends the championship, if anything. The gap was really too... Energetics needed to start his comeback this race, and he didn't. He crashed with 8 or so laps to go, and XL Major in 6th place. So, yeah. I think the championship, if any... It's not mathematically over, but it's been over mentally for a few rounds for Energetics, especially after the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think for Energetics, the Netherlands, that spin where he lost victory with a lap to go was really the moment that ultimately cost him. I do apologise, viewers. We are going to forego podium interviews this week as we have to shoot off. But if you were hoping to stick around podium interviews, do tune in to the end of Division 2 right now, because it looks like an absolutely bonkers race. We've got a 14-car DRS train at the end of this race. So it's absolutely crazy. XL Gary leads from XL Zaudermate. So Red Bull 1-2 currently with just over 2 laps to go. So do tune in to the end of that one, because it's looking absolutely bonkers. But until next week, as always, from myself and from Packer, thank you for tuning in. Bizarre race, good fun. Enjoyed it all the way through, and hopefully we can have some more of the same next week as the championship moves towards its conclusion. 4 races to go. Join us same time next week, 8:10 BST, 21:10 CEST. See you then. Thank you for now, and goodbye.